Sometimes when you play Angry Birds on your phone or your tablet, it sometimes comes back to give you a bit of a scare in real life. And for my San Francisco 49ers in their week 4 matchup, that's kind of what happened to them in some parts of their game against the Arizona Cardinals at home. So going into this week 4 matchup against Arizona, the 49ers had an opportunity early on in their season to go up 2-0 in the NFC West and overall 4-0 in their 2023 season. So when you look at this game against the 49ers, there were one thing that I wanted them to not do, and that was just simply not fall asleep on the wheel against the Arizona Cardinals team that was having a lot of fighting spirit, always being in the fight, always playing hard. Just don't let this team try to get an upset over you, try to steal a win over you, especially with the way that their head coach, Jonathan Gannon, had them playing. So at least for the first quarter, it kind of felt like for the 49ers, they were not going to fall into that trap because, they get an opening 3-and-out on defense on Josh Dobbs and their offense. And on the 49ers opposite end on the offense, they benefited from the 49ers defensive 3-and-out because on offense, they get the usual dose of Christian McCaffrey, who seamlessly ran through the Cardinals' run defense, or lack thereof. And then McCaffrey scored on the opening drive, 7-0 already, very early on into the first quarter. And yeah, you already have a 7-0 advantage. And once you get back on defense, outside of allowing one pass to Marquise Brown, the Niners defense pretty much suffocated Arizona's offense. And then much later on, once we get towards the back end of the first quarter, the 49ers converted a 4th down, even though they kind of could have not been in that spot had they not abused too much of the Christian McCaffrey gut run so much, because they were kind of abusing the hell out of that very early in the game and for much of that first quarter. But nonetheless, they actually got ballsy and converted a 4th down pass from Brock Purdy to George Kittle. I mean, pretty ballsy. At least Kyle Shanahan's the coach, at least for now. He's not the guy that's I'm going to punt the ball from where we were. I think it was past midfield into Arizona territory. But no, he actually decided to go for it. He said, fuck it, we're going to go for it. And throw the damn ball to Kittle. So that's something at least. So you go into the second quarter. I mean, there's not too much to complain about right now. McCaffrey is now being participating in the receiving game, which is good to see. Take advantage of that other skill that McCaffrey has, and Purdy threw it to Christian McCaffrey, and on the second catch that he got, McCaffrey hurdles over an Arizona defender, and he gets his second touchdown overall, and it's already 14-0. So yeah, it's kind of a manageable lead for the 49ers, but again, you don't want to keep it at that lead. You want to increase that lead even further against a team like the Cardinals. And speaking of gambles for either of these teams, Jonathan Gannon, their head coach, took a really risky gamble. And it was not even close to the end of the first half, not even the middle. It was 10 minutes left in the first half. He took a really risky gamble with this team at midfield or a little past midfield, and he had his offense that was struggling to get around that Niners defensive front, and he went for it on 4th and 7, and it was a little ballsy, but hey, it worked to them, to their credit. Josh Dobbs runs it and extends the ball for the first down marker, which initially they ruled it on downs, so the Niners were gonna get the ball back, but after a commercial break, they reversed it. So I mean, it was something. And I mean, I honestly thought that, oh man, they're gonna overturn this because he clearly stretched it. He clearly stretched for that marker. So they managed to get down to the red zone, but they only get held to just 3, so it's something. So on the very next drive, Purdy executes this very nice passing drive that included a long bomb that was kind of underthrown, but still pretty nice adjustment by Brandon Ayuk to make that catch. And then Purdy gets another touchdown pass to Mr. Reliable, Christian McCaffrey, CMC. So Christian McCaffrey, like, it's not even the first half. It's already his third touchdown, and it's 21-3. But unfortunately for the 49ers defense, this is where they kind of start to like fall apart a little bit, because like I think it's like 7 to 6 minutes left in the quarter, in the second quarter, Arizona, they start to get really ballsy. They, on fourth down, like deep in their own territory, they decide to go for a fake punt, and they actually convert that fake punt. Some guy named Ezekiel Turner takes the direct snap and tries to sneak it in for a first down, and he actually gets that first down. And then from there, they actually march down. And it's like, this is not good, especially considering that the 49ers defensive front that has Nick Bosa, that has Drake Jackson, and the interior of Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead, they're not getting any pressure, which is like, yeah, what is happening here? So they're marching downfield with the defensive front not applying any pressure by that point. Dobbs notched a mid-range pass to Marquise Brown, and then later on to Michael Wilson in the end zone. So they cut that lead down to 21-10. And all of a sudden, it's like they get some momentum. They at least get some positive energy going to the halftime. And if you're a Niners fan, you're thinking like, okay, we still have a 2-score lead. But the problem is you're giving some life to the Cardinals now. You're giving them something to think about going to halftime. And now you're thinking it's like, well, they can cut into that lead going into the third quarter. So, my thinking was coming out of that half, the offense looked pretty strong. Purdy was played a pretty perfect first half. But it was the defense, that really struggled after good first quarter. They struggled in the second one. Despite stuffing Arizona for a good chunk of that first half, the pass rush after that was not anywhere to be seen. I wanted to see more from that group. That's supposed to be a vaunted front. Again, Nick Bosa is still trying to find his rhythm after not having training camp. But come on, man, we need you. We need you, man. And then the Niners offense had perhaps its worst outing in the third quarter, and they have to punt. Brock Purdy gets sacked big by this guy named Darius Gardeck, and then they have to punt for the first time that day. And then they get pinned. The Cardinals get pinned deep into their own territory, literally at the 1 yard line. So at least the Niners special teams did something to trap the Cardinals, to trap those birds. But again, no pressure up front. And then the coverage, I didn't even get to the secondary. They were pretty bad on that series, because rather than going man to man, staying on guys like Brown or Wilson, rather than going toe to toe, going face to face with them, they're playing spread out. They're playing zone defense, and I don't know why. You got I don't know why zone defense is the thing to go to. Maybe it's a schematic thing. Again, I'm just a casual guy talking about this stuff, but I think man to man is in my opinion, it's more effective. I see it as more effective. But anyway, the emoji Lenore, he gets burned because he's just looking at Josh Dobbs. Maybe he's trying to look for the turnover, but come on, man, stick with your guy, because he doesn't recognize that, Marquise Hollywood Brown is wide open at one part of the field, and now you have your linebacker Fred Warner trying to keep up with him, because Lenore didn't see him open the field, and now they're in the red zone. Wow, good job there. And now 2 plays later, the lead's cut down to 5 because Michael Wilson gets a second touchdown, and you have a game. At least the Niners defense was fortunate enough to stop the 2-point try from happening, but still, this was a very disappointing drive, a very disappointing defensive series for San Francisco. There were no ways to rattle Josh Dobbs in the defensive front, and the secondary was falling asleep in coverage the whole time. Like, I thought this was supposed to be the heart of the team. I get it. We're only 4 weeks in, but come on. Settle in, man. You really have to find ways to settle in. So at least for the 49ers offense, they were still cooking. They responded like immediately. Purdy hits this nice pass to Brandon Ayuk. Another big one, by the way, to put them right back in Arizona territory. And then as you get to the fourth quarter, McCaffrey gets his third rushing touchdown and fourth total. You get the lead back to double digits, 28-16. But now, the Niners defense, you really need to get your end of the bargain done here. Like, there's still plenty of time for Arizona to try and turn something up of a comeback. Now, all this time that the Arizona had a big lead, and their opponents were trying to get back into the games, it was Arizona that was finding themselves in a situation of, their opponent in the 49ers had a big lead, and now they were trying to find their own way to get a comeback in. And Arizona, again, threatened another scoring drive. They're threatening to cut that lead back down to single digits. But then finally, an answer from the 49ers defense front. I guess you could say a call from God struck down on the 49ers defense and said, okay, we've had enough. We've had enough here, pal. And that answer came from Javon Hargrave. He said, enough was enough. We've had enough of the bull crap. And finally hit home for the Niners' only sack of the game and forced Arizona to punt. So for the 49ers, they played keep away. They managed to keep the ball away from Arizona for the rest of the game. And, well, they couldn't technically kneel it down because, well, they were like in goal line territory. So basically by that point, Purdy just stat padded, I guess, and made the game 35-6. 35-6, 35-16. So, I mean, overall, Arizona pretty much did what they were going to do so far this season. And that was pretty much, fight like them angry birds, as you sling the red bird and then he's going, ah, and try to knock you down when you don't see it. So to their credit, they tested the 49ers defense, or at least for a good quarter of it, a good chunk of it, lack thereof, and made it somewhat of a game in the third quarter and at least early in the fourth. The 49ers offense, though, I think they had their best showing. They carried the load and responded whenever Arizona tried to pull within striking distance, especially late in the third when they had that really long drive. Like, that Arizona drive took up like a large chunk of that third quarter. But the Niners offense, after that, they immediately responded. I like the way that they responded. And they never, other than, of course, the opening drive of the second half, they at least counterpunched whatever Arizona threw at them. Purdy had a really efficient performance. Only missed one pass under set. I think his only pass under pressure was the one missed pass. That sack though was kind of bad from Deron, whatever his name is. But maybe going forward though, maybe I would wish that the wealth was spread to Debo and Kittle. But eventually, they will be fully integrated into the offense. And man, once they get Debo and Kittle more involved, I think that offense will be really, really deadly. But I feel like the defense, though, they cannot have another game like they did in week 4. Because unlike in the fourth quarter, until the fourth quarter, it's just unable to generate any pressure on Josh Dobbs. I mean, sure, there were like flashes of that in the first quarter, but it was after that, it was unable to generate any pressure onto Josh Dobbs. Coverage was middling against guys like Brown and Zach Ertz and some guy named Michael Wilson. Hell, they almost even allowed another touchdown, like in garbage time. Like, come on, like that can't happen. So at least they managed to get a key stop when they needed it, from Javon Hargrave. But still, like you can't have those things. You really can't have those things against against this kind of team that, even though some people were saying like, oh, they were going to be tanking. They're going to be fighting for the number 1 overall pick. You can't discount that. You really can't discount that. You really had to bring your A game. So, yeah, the defense needs to always match up with the offense and put on as big of a showing as possible. I mean, sure, there'll always be some down weeks, but you have to find a way to bounce back the next. So speaking of bouncing back the next, yeah, there's a team in the form of the Dallas Cowboys coming next week. And, despite their offensive line injuries, they got to find a way to get to the quarterback sooner and more consistently going forward. So, speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, let's take an early look at week 5. Yeah, the big matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and my 49ers, which closes out a 3-game homestand and, of course, the Sunday slate of week 5 under the bright lights of Sunday nights. So, this is a rematch of, their 2 previous playoff matchups in 2021, actually. 2021, where the Cowboys absolutely robbed. The Niners got the win, but the Cowboys robbed Jimmy Garoppolo of that precious Nickelodeon valuable player, the true award in the NFL, the MVP. Those damn kids robbed Jimmy G of the ultimate prize in the NFL and gave it to Dak Prescott. Like, what? Unbelievable, man. But then in 2022, the 49ers prevailed again in that divisional playoff matchup against the Cowboys. So, yeah, it's a rematch of those 2 playoff matchups. And it's going to be a big one. It really is going to be, I think it's going to be the Niners' biggest test yet. I mean, sure, there was the Rams game, but that was I don't know. It ended up being bigger by the fourth quarter. But now, here comes the really big test against the Dallas Cowboys with their defensive front going up against the 49ers, still kind of adjusting offensive line. And then the 49ers, hopefully, they have a big game, defensive front against the Cowboys. Offensive line that's still kind of dealing with some injuries, but still good nonetheless. So for the Cowboys, they blew out the Patriots 38-3 at home, mainly thanks to their defense taking advantage of Mac Jones's fuck-ups. But we'll talk more about this game in the preview that is to come later on this week. So let me know your thoughts about the 49ers week 4 win over the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, the 49ers are 4-0 in this 2023 season. And yeah, now they move forward to the Dallas Cowboys next week on Sunday Night Football. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the 49ers win in week 4 in the comments below over Arizona. And yeah, on to week 5 against Dallas. So yeah, this is DylanLasagna signing out of another 49ers video here in the 2023 season. And as always, keep the lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until next time, peace out.